Hey everyone, welcome to the channel where we love to talk about movies. Welcome especially if you're new. If you enjoy talking about movies and staying up to speed on what's in theaters and what's worth checking out, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a review. Alright, with that we're going to get into today's review, which is for 3,000 Years of Longing. I just got back from seeing it in the theater, so let's dive on in. So in this movie, a lonely scholar on a trip to Istanbul discovers a djinn who offers her three wishes in exchange for his freedom. I think I had seen a trailer for this, but I don't really remember it. I was certainly aware this was a movie coming out, but I didn't really have too much anticipation going into the film. So we'll keep this at a spoiler-free discussion just to give my thoughts on the film. And starting off, I think the thing I really liked the most about the film was the acting. I think Tilda Swinton and Idris Elba do a great job as the leads and really sell the characters and bring them to life. So I think both of them knocked it out of the park. I also enjoyed just how the characters were written, and for me personally, I felt fairly relatable to them. So it was kind of an interesting character study of both of them where both characters feel fairly alone and not really connected to other people in the world. And especially I think it was interesting seeing how the character that Tilda Swinton plays, I think her name is Alithia, and she basically doesn't really want to give any wishes. So it's interesting seeing that set up where she has a genie appear to her, and then but he needs her to make wishes and like legitimate wishes for him to get his freedom. So they're kind of in a deadlock at the beginning. So I did like how the story was set up, where we kind of got these short stories as the djinn kind of goes back on his experiences and relates them to her, where he's trying to convince her that like not everything is a cautionary tale when it comes to wishes, but he's only actually proving himself wrong through all of this, more or less. But it had like kind of in that vein, it reminded me a bit of Secondhand Lions as far as thinking of other movies that have kind of a similar feel to this. That is definitely something that it reminded me of, where we've got like the story being narrated from the present day, and we kind of swap back and forth between present day and centuries past. It wasn't quite centuries past in Secondhand Lions, but like you get this feel of two distinct or like distinct very like you get this feel of very distinct worlds and separate worlds. So that's just not something that you see in every film, and I appreciated seeing it here. I did think that it was interesting that each of the people who find the djinn are women, but they all have different wishes and approach it very differently. But that was kind of interesting. Of the four, they were all women. None of them were men. But I suppose we've seen that before. We know what Aladdin looks like and that sort of a thing. But just interesting note. Not that I had a problem with it, but I did enjoy kind of the backstory and how it played out. I thought some were more interesting than others, but they are all kind of different. But yeah, I thought the cinematography was also pretty good. The soundtrack was good, I think, for the most part. I'm gonna check it out if I can, if it's available on Amazon Music. It wasn't like overly thematic from what I remember, but I think there are a couple good songs. Just like, oh yeah, I should check out the soundtrack. But yeah, I think kind of overall we could definitely go into spoilers, but yeah, I'm not going to. So I think that would end up making this a bit longer review if we did. But yeah, just to keep it spoiler free, I think this movie was pretty well done. I was trying to like land on a letter grade for it, and kind of looking at my list and my ranking of movies throughout the year. Like at first I was like, yeah, I enjoyed this movie. It was definitely one that's kind of up my alley, where you've got a djinn and you've got magic and sort of fantasy, especially meets like modern world. I like that mixture. Just like in and of itself, that makes me more amenable to this sort of a movie. But then I thought it was kind of it was interesting and the characters were well done. But that being said, it's not the best movie ever, but I think it was one for me. So I gave it a letter grade of an A. It's on the lower side of A. It was definitely right between an A and a B. And I think for most people it'll probably be a B, but I think since it caters to kind of the genre of a movie that I generally like, that's what kind of raised it above, especially looking at all the other movies that I had placed in the B category. I was like, yeah, I think it's better than most of those, but it's still not nearly as good as a lot of the ones in my A category, so it was definitely in between. But I just liked kind of the tone of the movie, and it just felt fresh and something that I hadn't seen really before in a movie, and it was one that I was glad to go see. So yeah, I'd say a low A on my list. It's one that I'd recommend if you like sort of fantasy and that sort of thing and kind of character studies, but I imagine for most people it is probably going to be that B. But it was nice to see in theaters, though. I think it does merit the theater watch if you're going to go see it. It was kind of nice to, they had a little clip of the director right before the film played, and he said, like, thanks for coming to see it in the theater because it was made for theaters. So it's nice to, yeah, it's nice to be kind of a part of that and to know that people are still making movies for theaters. They have that in mind, and not everything is meant just to go to streaming. So if you had a chance to see the film, though, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to smash the like and subscribe button so you never miss a video when it drops. And with that, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next review.